from the Perth School, Cambridge, this summer we carried out a practical research project on can science improve your tennis game? We each took on one investigation for a total of 5.
So overall we carried out some experimental research and carried out experiments as well, and using our data from that we aim to produce a set of objective performance criteria for tennis players to try and help them with their specific styles of play. The first experiment was the effect of shock absorbers on ball speed and sound.
So shock absorbers are kind of like little rubber things that go on to racket strings to dampen the vibrations. So the method was where we clamped a racket to a backboard and fired tennis balls at it using a ball machine, and we used a high-speed camera to record the device of the ball, and with 2 reference points you could work out the incoming and outgoing speed and thus calculate the potential return. So we then also recorded the sound of the ball impacting the racket, and this was analysed digitally. So the results found that there was no significant impact of having a shock absorber on the racket in terms of the rebound speed or in terms of the frequency of string vibrations. So for the rebound speed, the maximum variation recorded was just 1.1%, and it was well within the limits of experimental accuracy. And it's because the ball actually bouncing off the racket does not, the way the racket moves when that happens is not affected by shock absorbers. And in terms of frequency, the findings went against the initial hypothesis, and this may be due to inaccuracies in the method. So we also investigated string tension. This I'll hand over to Fletcher.
Yeah, so for string tension, we did some background research first, and we basically found out that lowering string tension increases the power of the racket. So firstly, we studied this by creating a theoretical model where we simply model the ball and the string bed as 2 springs, basically, to simplify the calculations. And then we did an experiment using the same experimental setup that the shock absorber experiment did. So the results are shown in this table. So it shows a general trend where as you increase string tension, you decrease the percentage return or the power of the racket. Now, so from this we can basically conclude that lower string tensions are more suitable for more offensive players, or and higher string tension suitable for more defensive, or looking for more control rather than power. On to Jerome.
Okay, next we investigated the effect of environmental temperature on tennis ball bounce, and it was hypothesized that an increase in temperature would result in a higher ball bounce. The method was as follows. There were reasons behind our hypothesis, which was that there would be an increased pressure within the ball, as a higher temperature would result in more kinetic energy supplied to the air molecules within the ball, which would be more resistant to deformation upon impact. And also, secondly, there would also be lower string tension due to thermal expansion of the strings of the tennis racket, which would also promote more conservation of energy during the bounce. And so the method was as follows. The tennis balls were kept. We had 2 tennis balls of different conditions. One was in room temperature of the experiment, and the other one was straight from the fridge of constant temperature of 4 degrees Celsius. And it was dropped on a tennis racket, which was on a wooden platform, horizontal, parallel to the ground, and the distance travelled back up was measured. And this was repeated in different temperatures to find out a range of data. And the results, this is as follows. There was a positive correlation between temperature and the height bounced, and this supported the hypothesis that an increased temperature would result in a higher bounce of the ball. Next, I'll hand over to Samir, who has investigated the effect of court surface.
So my experiments actually involved testing 3 variables. So here you can see we tested grass courts, artificial courts, clay courts and hard courts. and they really would mimic a natural surface used in a tennis match. So each court we tested the ball speed, spin, and the height of the bounce. Obviously, it's very difficult to recommend how that would help a tennis player in a match because, I mean, you can't really control which surface you'd use, let alone the weather conditions, because we tested in wet and dry conditions. So in overall, our results actually supported our hypotheses. We found that grass courts and hard courts were the fastest surface, i.e. they caused the highest percentage return of the incoming ball speed. So that could suit offensive players. Clay court produced the most amount of revolutions of the ball, so that would suit a player who uses a heavy topspin to enhance the height of the ball, to make it more difficult for defensive players to return the ball. Artificial grass courts, they were new research into the field, so we found that they were actually they took the medium value for ball speed, spin and ball bounce, so that would probably be a court used for novices of the game, hence they're used in lots of schools. Thank you for listening, and that is our project.